Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View.
And welcome to Capitol View. I'm Roby Brock. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, last week the Arkansas legislature adjourned their fiscal session without finalizing passage of the Game and Fish Commission budget. There was a disagreement in the Arkansas House over the salary of the executive director of Game and Fish. House members did, however, elect a new speaker designate, Representative Brian Evans, Republican of Cabot, and he now joins me for a conversation. Congratulations.
Thank you, Roby. Thanks for having me on today.
And before we get going, I've got to make a little fun of myself first before I start making fun of you. Apparently, about 2 weeks ago, I referred to you as Brian Adams, the rock singer, not Brian Evans, and I didn't even catch that I did it, but apparently your House colleagues did and gave you a little bit of grief about that. So I just want you to know that from here on out, everything I do for you, okay?
That's it.
And I'm sorry that that insult maybe cut like a knife.
It cut like a knife.
Yeah, but if you will, my apologies coming straight from the heart.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
I understand you used to be a DJ that went by Brian Adams.
I did. That was actually my radio name back in college.
Really?
Yes, sir.
What radio station were you on?
So I worked at KCON and KABN, and then also did some fill-in work at Magic 105.
Okay. Were you like there with Tom Wood and Tommy Smith and all those guys?
Yes.
Did you have another alias when you were there?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just
Not any that we need to discuss.
All right. Let's begin with first of all, what's going to be your leadership style as Speaker of the House? I know you don't take the reins until January, but there will be a pretty big transition period because that's how it always works.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming that Matthew Shepard is going to give you some keys to the car to test drive. How are you going to be a little bit different than him? How are you going to be yourself?
Well, all I know to do is be myself, and I want to believe that the type of leadership skills that I have shown my colleagues over my time in the House, the way that I've treated all members, fair, firm, and consistent on both sides of the aisle, letting them know that I'm here to represent them. I think that was a big reason why I was able to achieve the support that I did and receive the overwhelming number of votes that I did as well.
I'll say it since you it was 91 votes out of 100 votes. That's pretty good.
Well, thank you.
That's almost communist, that's almost Russian numbers there. So, I mean, do we need to worry about how fair that election was?
No, sir, not at all. It was very fair and just very blessed and honored to be chosen in this capacity by my colleagues.
All right, you'll have an early leadership challenge, even though you won't officially be Speaker, in that there's going to have to be a special session to fix this Game and Fish Commission budget before July 1st, or they won't have the authority to spend any money. I know there's also possibility of a special session to deal with some tax cuts. We're going to have a pretty healthy budget surplus, and that's going to set us up again. Is there a way to combine all of that into one? What's the conversation right now?
I think there is. Obviously, we're having conversations on a daily basis with some of the different groups that had issues with the way that the Game and Fish appropriation was presented and the amendments that were placed on that. I think conversations are moving along at a good conservative pace right now. And that's been a key to my leadership style over all of my years of business, is just getting people to the table and getting them to acknowledge that we need to do something for the greater good and trying to get them to compromise. And I think we're moving in the right direction on that.
Can't tell me what that compromise might be right now, because it's probably not settled, is it?
It's not, but I think we are a lot closer than we were this time a week ago. And yes, I do believe as the reports came out from DF&A yesterday, and we're seeing a sizable surplus, I think it provides a very good opportunity for us, being prudent with our constituents and taxpayers' dollars, to put some tax cut opportunities on the table for all Arkansans.
Senator Dismang, co-chair of the Budget Committee, was on last week, and he said 4% is a possibility. Do you believe that?
I do, and I am a proponent of that. Conversations yesterday, just looking at some timelines of when we can get the special session called, hopefully have a good agreement that we can go into it on the Game and Fish appropriation, and then spend quality time working on a good tax cut. And I think 4% is a good number.
Corporate tax cut too? Is that being discussed?
We have traditionally, over the last several years, those have followed. Now, the corporate rate is a couple of basis points behind, but we move those incrementally at the same pace.
Is that on the table?
Yes.
Yep. All right. Okay. Well, we'll watch for that.
Yes, sir.
I think this is going to help you guys from a PR standpoint too, because you would have normally had to spend $100,000 at a minimum for a special session to give the Game and Fish Commission executive director either no raise, a 3% raise, or maybe a $30,000 raise. That wasn't going to probably fly. It'll help a little bit more if there's tax cuts involved, correct?
I think that I mean, it's two complete separate topics, but will work well together if we do convene for this special session. The issues with the Game and Fish budget stem from a tremendous amount of constituent feedback on the process of this, and looking, because there's been a tremendous amount of eyes laid on the fact of the state employee pay plan that we just passed, the incremental increases in other directors and secretary salaries that the governor had asked for, and we just had constituents that wanted to make sure that this was in line with what we had previously, accomplished with those other positions.
Is there anything else that may be on a special session call that you think warrants an emergency or to be on that special session call? Is there anything else being lobbied to the governor?
No, sir, not anything that I'm aware of.
Okay. Fair enough. Back to your leadership style again. You got 91 votes. They weren't all Republicans. There's not a lot of Democrats in there. You're going to have some Democrats in your leadership team?
I think that when we look at every member of the House, their constituents elect them and send them here to represent their interests and their needs. And so I will be leaning upon all members of the House for good feedback on what's going on in their districts. But it's a long time between now and November when a lot of elections, I believe we have 57 contested races in the House. And so just the makeup of the House may look different. Was never intended to be presumptuous, but wanted to be prepared. And so I have looked ahead at some of these committee assignments, because we have some long-standing chairs that are not returning, and looking at who we can put in those positions. But I stand upon what I said in my speech to the House, is that I believe in building, strengthening, and empowering. And that empowerment piece is building up a strong bench behind me, putting the right people in the right place, empowering young leaders to rise.
You've been the head of the Education Committee. A lot of speakers don't get to push much on an agenda because you're too busy juggling everybody else's agenda. Are you going to kind of follow in those footsteps there? Do you think you'll not be as hands-on on things that are important to Brian Evans, or do you think that you will be looking at what the governor's proposing, what maybe the bulk of your leadership in the House wants to see done? What's going to be your approach to issues that are important to you?
Well, as well as choosing the next speaker designate last Thursday, we also met afterwards as a caucus and chose our leadership. We have a new majority leader, new majority whip, and conversations that I've had with them is that I believe we need to be laser focused as a caucus on priorities for our constituents back home. And so that's number one priority for me, is looking at the representation of our caucus across the state, looking at what the needs are with our constituents, whether it's tax cuts, whether it's improvements to mental health services, whatever that may be. That's what's going to be priority for me, is helping my caucus members be successful in their districts.
So, I mean, you don't have a pet issue, or is there something specifically that you're like, I've been waiting my whole time in the House to make sure that I can push with the authority of House leadership on this?
No, not at all. Spending so much time over the last session as chair of education and working with the administration.
There was a little bit going on.
There was a little bit going on there, and we know that as that act came out, that it's not perfect. There's some great things in there, but as the governor has said, there's pieces of that that's fluid, and as we go through the rulemaking process and the implementation of the different pieces of LEARNs, we know that there's going to be some things that we're going to have to tweak and make better. And so I fully intend to be engaged in those conversations, because education for all students in Arkansas is a key piece to who I am.
I don't expect you'll appoint yourself as chair of the House Education Committee, so there's one place where there'll be a new chair. Are you going to stay on that committee? What committees do you want to stay on?
Well, I'd like to be involved with many of them, but we will choose two. We'll choose an A committee and a B committee, and again, I would want to wait and defer that into November to see how the elections turn out, all the members that we have coming back, making sure that our members are getting on the committees that they want to get on, helping them get there, and then I'll fill in wherever is needed.
All right. I'm going to let you off the hook on that one for now, but come November, I may press you a little harder
Yes,
on that.
sir.
Representative Brian Evans, he is the Speaker of the House designate. I look forward to beating up on you on a regular basis. I mean, I look forward to covering you fairly on a regular basis.
Yes, sir.
So,
I like that approach much better.
you know the door's always open here, so,
Yes, sir.
and I appreciate you.
Thank you,
so
Roby.
Good luck to you.
Yes, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.